project with an STM Nucleo board, or at least ST microelectronics development board that has this top portion here. You see how the PCB is almost seemingly barely hanging on. And the reason for that is, let's open up the document. If you go to the section that says cuttable PCB, it explains that the board is split into the ST-Link and the STM32. Not only does this provide the ability to program the chip over the JTAG interface, and it's actually not JTAG, it's the single wire debug interface, SWD. Before we could just go and cut it off, we would have to make sure that the appropriate pins are available for us to use another type of programmer. And either way, it's just really not necessary, because if we wanted to use a pretty popular JTAG programmer, the Seger J-Link, we can actually reflash the firmware of this to act as a J-Link, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to want to open up your browser and search Seger J-Link and click the downloads link. I definitely recommend downloading and keeping the manual for the product itself. I also recommend actually buying the J-Link. You can actually buy the EDU version. I bought this off of DigiKey. I'll show you what it looks like. The JTAG programmer comes with that 20-pin connector and 20-pin cable. But as we see, this development board doesn't have that 20-pin connector anywhere for us. What we could do, and if you read further into the documentation, is that if you see both CN4 connectors, so CN4 is going to be these two jumpers here. If you were to remove those, let's say we just removed them. So here are the SWD pins. These 6 pins right here, which are CN6. So I could hook up the single wire debug pins. I would have to get the pin out of this, and I could program it that way. But that's not necessary, because Seger provides a piece of software called ST-Link Reflash Utility, and we're going to want to download that. And you'll see if I plug in my board, you see it pops up as a storage device, and that's part of being able to program it the embed way, which is just dragging the binary onto that storage device. Go to Device Manager, so we can see the ST-Link debug, and the serial device. Now that we downloaded our Reflash, let's go ahead and extract. Just to verify that it's working as is, let's go ahead and open up our Kale project. We'll build in case it's not built. We'll load, and it loaded just fine. And our application doesn't do anything, so we can't verify it any further. We could debug it, but let's not do that. Let's go ahead and run the ST-Link Flash utility. And here we are. We're just going to want to accept all this licensing stuff. And then you're left with the option to upgrade to J-Link, update J-Link firmware, or restore. Well, we're at the ST-Link, so let's upgrade to J-Link. It's going to take a few seconds. And then, just in case, let's do the update firmware option. Hit accept. All right, and now let's quit. So, now we see that we have the J-Link UART port and the J-Link driver. So, what we can do now, and this is similar to the actual physical J-Link, is that the LED behavior, notice before the LED was red when it was in idle and not communicating, and now it's just a solid green. That's one way to tell that it's been swapped. So if we go to our project and we do the options, we go to debug, we change it to ST-Link, we change it to the J-Link, hit OK, and then let's click load. Don't show message, hit accept. So we get an error, and the reason for that error is that, let's look at it. Debugger tries to select target interface JTAG. This interface is not supported by the connected emulator. Okay. What that means is we need to go in here and go to settings, and instead of using JTAG, we need to do the single wire. Hit OK, click load again, and it loads just fine. We know we need to do single wire because we can look here and say the embedded ST-Link supports only SWD for STM32 devices. We can assume that that doesn't mean the firmware only supports it. It's only connected via SWD. And so, really quick, just to verify, let's try to debug and see if we can step through. What's nice about this debugger is that it won't lie to you. Like if the debugger loses communication with your processor, let's say you mess up something with oscillators and it just goes into an unknown state, it won't just lie to you and allow you to keep stepping through. So if we go ahead and reset, we go back to our system init, so we can see that everything's working fine. If at any point, you may have seen in the menu earlier, you can have the option to change it back to the way it was. If at any point you need to do that, you can open up ST-Link Reflash again, accept these license agreements again, restore ST-Link, accept the term of use. We see that it came back as a storage device. We can hit quit. We can go to our device, open our device manager, and see that we have ST-Link debug in our serial device. So you can swap back and forth as needed. Thanks for watching.